Did you know that the Indian sneaker market is one of the deadliest market in the entire world for any new brand? And I am not even exaggerating. You see, on one side, you have global giants like Nike, Adidas and Puma, companies with 50 years of legacy, billions of dollars in cash and biggest celebrity on the planet from Ronaldo to Virat Kohli wearing their logos. And on other side, you have an army of budget brands like Campus, Sparks and Red Tape fighting a brutal price war at just 2000 rupees. And in between these two armies, dozens of Indian startups has tried to build premium sneakers brand, and almost every single one of them has died a silent death. But you know what guys, in July 2023, two first-time entrepreneur Utkarsh Gupta and Dishant Daryani decided to walk straight into this battlefield.
Comet is on its way to disrupt India's 21,000 crore sneaker market and has developed a cult-like following in less than 2 years of inception.
In just 2 years, Comet went from zero to valuation of 161 crore rupees and became one of the fastest D2C brand in India to hit that milestone. In financial year 2024, their brand Comet did 7.3 crore rupees in revenue. And in just 1 year later, in financial year 2025, it did 29.1 crore rupees. That's 300% jump in just single year. Although the company also posted a loss of 4.4 crore rupees, which is an increase of 120% from the previous year. And to earn that 29 crore rupees of revenue, Comet actually spent 36 crore rupees. So basically, they are spending more than they earn. And yet somehow, investors like Evaluation Capital, Nexus Venture Partners are pouring millions into them. So the question over here is, how on earth did two first-time founders with no fashion background crack a market where Nike and Adidas dominated entire premium segment? What exactly is this cultural drop playbook that even Puma and Bata with hundreds time market budget could not copy in 2 years? Why did Comet lose 4.4 crore rupees while growing at 300%? And most importantly, is it quietly walking on the same exact trap that wounded Bot and Mama Earth? This is a story that begins in Chicago. Utkarsh was doing his MBA at Kaloji Schools of Management, and he jokes that he was actually doing 2-year MBA in sneakers because Chicago is the spiritual home of sneaker culture, the city of Michael Jordan, of Air Jordan drops that caused queues stretching around entire city blocks. And Utkarsh watched something fascinating there. American brands were not just selling the shoes, they were selling the stories, the identity and the belongings, and the shoes just happened to carry them. So when Utkarsh returned to India, he teamed up with his friend Dishant. They studied the Indian sneaker market obsessively, like they literally used to spend hours at malls watching how people shop for sneakers, even striking up conversation with strangers at airport. And what they found was a market struck in a strange binary. And let me explain that gap with our very simple numbers. At bottom, you had budget brands at around 2000 rupees. Those are functional but with zero aspiration. And at a top, you had Adidas, Nike and Puma at 8000 rupees to 12,000 plus rupees. Deeply aspirational but simply out of the reach for most young Indians. And in between, a gaping hole. There was no Indian brand offering the global quality design at a price the ambitious middle class younger could actually afford. And the worst thing is, nobody at any price point was selling the stories that felt Indian, because every sneaker ad was either a foreign celebrity face or a boring list of performance specs. So the founders of Comet saw two gaps stack on top of each other, a price gap and an identity vacuum. And that insight became Comet, launched in July 2023 with just 10 designs and a rebellious tagline, never shy, never sorry. Now here is where the genius begins, because Comet's strategy has three interlocking pieces and each one is worth studying carefully. And the first piece is pricing zone. Comet priced its sneakers at 4,299 rupees. Now this may looks like a random number for you, but it's actually a strategic kill zone, and let me explain why. For Nike or Adidas to attack Comet, they would have to launch a quality sneaker at around 4,300 rupees. But the moment they do that, they would destroy their own market, which took decades to build. You see, their own customers who are paying 10,000 rupees for their shoes would ask, why am I paying more than the double? So their premium image, which built over the decades, will start to crack. And this is called cannibalizing. Attacking a Comet means eating their own business, so they cannot come down. Now flip it. For the budget brands like Campus and Sparks to attack the Comet, they would have to more than double their price to 4,300 rupees. But their entire supply chain, their design language and their brand perception, everything is built for 2,000 rupees customer. And Spark at 4,300 rupees would simply not sell. And if they have to sell their shoes at this price range, they would have to redesign their entire company and their entire marketing perception, which is why they won't come up. So Comet planted its flag in the price band where the giants above cannot descend and the armies below cannot climb. It's roughly 40 to 50% cheaper than Nike and yet clearly inspirational about the budget crowd that, ladies and gentlemen, is positioning as a weapon. But price alone cannot build a cult, which is where the second piece comes, where Comet did something that no Indian footwear brand has done before. It made shoe itself the storyteller. Their very first limited drop was called Mango, and homage to India's most beloved fruit, dropped in the summer. Then came the Pataka, launched for Diwali, carrying the sparks of firecracker. Then Jugnu, the fireflies, pure childhood nostalgia for an entire generation that chased butterfly on a summer's evening. So Comet, each drop was not just marketed as footwear. It was a collectible tied to a memory, a mood and emotion of growing up Indians. Now here is the beautiful part. This storytelling required no celebrity and no transaction, because when a 24-year-old sees a snacker called Jugnu, the story is already inside their head, and Comet just unlocked it. As Utkarsh himself put it, the most brands rely on celebrity and traditional marketing, and we don't have the budget for that. But what we do have is the deep understanding of emotions and culture. So the community itself became the marketing department. Unboxings, posts and reels, organic reach that no ad budget could buy. And now comes the third piece, which is the engine that power it all. The drop model that borrowed from the global streetwear icon like Supreme. Comet releases their limited editions every 1 to 2 months in restricted limited runs, and they have one simple rule that they are never restocked. Once Mango, Pataka or whatever edition is gone, it's gone forever. Now think about the psychology this creates. If a shoe will always be available, you can buy it whenever you want. But if only a limited number exists and they can vanish in minutes, you must act now. And on top of that, owning these kind of articles or product makes you part of an exclusive club. According to the founders, some of these drops has sold out in just 15 minutes. And every sellout becomes a new story in itself, which fuels the hype for next drop. It's a self-feeding flying wheel. Story creates desire, scarcity creates urgency, sellouts create legend, and legend feed the next story. And here is the underrated genius. This drop model also quietly solved Comet's biggest weakness. As a startup, they had no manufacturing scale. Small and limited production were not a compromise. They were rebranded as exclusivity. They turned their biggest constraints into their biggest superpower. But guys, here is the puzzle. The playbook is already in public and every rival can say it. Now the question is, why hasn't anyone copied it in 2 years? Well, guys, this playbook looks simple, but it's structurally impossible for big companies to run. Think about it. A large company's entire machineries like factories, distribution, and quarterly target is built to sell more shoes to more people, whereas the drop model demand the exact opposite, deliberately selling the less shoes, refusing to restock a hit product, and leaving money on the table to protect scarcity. And even if the giant companies try this drop model, what their sales head at listed giant will tell to their board: "Sir, our product sold out in 15 minutes, but we have decided to never make it again." It's organizationally unthinkable. And culturally, a heritage brand designing a sneaker called Pataka would feel like uncle using Gen Z slang. And the audience can smell inauthenticity instantly. So basically, cult credibility cannot be bought. It can only be earned step by step. And this is the Comet's real mode. Not designing, but the way of operating that incumbent structurally cannot be imitated. But now, let's put away the confetti and open the account books, because this is where the story gets genuinely uncomfortable and where we have to be brutally honest. In financial year 2025, while Comet's revenue grew around 300% to 29.1 crore rupees, its net loss also widened by 120% to 4.4 crore rupees, and its total expenses exploded nearly 4 times from 9.9 crore rupees to 36.1 crore rupees. And a big chunk of that spending reported went to marketing and advertising to fuel this growth. Now, does this pattern sounds familiar? Well, it should, because this is the exact growth at all cost script that Indian D2C has seen before. Bot grew explosively on aggressive marketing, and then it hit a wall of losses and had to painfully restructure. Mamaearth rode the same rocket, listed on the stock market, and then saw its valuation get hammered when the market started asking one simple question: where are the profits? And dozens of other small D2C brands run the same script and simply died when funding music stopped. This trap is always the same. You buy the growth with investors' money, the growth always looks spectacular, but then the underlying unit economics, what you actually earn per shoes after all the cost, never turns healthy. And when the funding winter comes, the brand that looked a rocket turned into a firework. So is Comet in this same trap? Well, let's be honest. The warning signs are real. Losses growing faster than the revenue is never a comfortable sight. But there are 3 important differences in the Comet's favor. First, scale to burn. Comet losses is 4.4 crore rupees, not the hundreds of crore that bot era brands were burning. This is still a controllable experiment, not a bonfire. Second, the drop model is inherently less wasteful. Limited runs means less dead inventory, which is the silent killer of most fashion brands. And the third, Comet is not selling on the discounts. It sells out at full price, which means the brand has genuinely pricing power, something that bot never had in its commoditizing category. So Comet is standing at the edge of D2C trap, but it has not fallen in it yet. So now the big question is, can Comet cross 500 crore rupees and genuinely challenge Puma India, which sits roughly at 3,500 crore rupees in revenue? And let's be honest about the mountain in front of them. Today Comet is at around 29 crore rupees, whereas Puma India is roughly 100 times bigger. And Indian D2C history shows a painful pattern. Brand scale fast to a few hundred crore rupees and then hit a ceiling, because the very playbook that got them there stops working at scale. So for Comet to break through, it must do 3 things that both Mamaearth and Sugar Cosmetic struggle to do. And the number 1 is go offline without losing the cult. You see, people want to try shoes before buying, and encouragingly, Comet has already started. It now runs its own stores in Bangalore, Delhi, and Hyderabad, plus around 9 multi-brand outlets. But the real challenge is to scaling this to hundreds of touch points while keeping the scarcity magic alive, because the limited drop sitting at 500 stores is no longer limited, and number 2 owns the manufacturing. Right now, like most D2C brands, Comet's strength is designing and the brand, not the factories. But at the scale, margins live in the manufacturing. The brands those survive, like Nike with its deep supply ecosystem, control their cost and quality at the source. Like Nike with its deep supplier ecosystem, control their cost and quality at the source. Reports suggest Comet has begun investing in custom molds and proprietary components, which is exactly the right direction, but going from a custom mold to genuine manufacturing muscle is a decade-long and capital-heavy grind. The number 3 is take the drop culture global. Nostalgia is universal, and every diaspora Indian in Dubai, London or USA feels Jugnu or Pataka instantly. So a Desi streetwear brand doing international drops for a global Indian community is a play that no global giant can copy. And if Comet cracks this, then Comet does not have to compete with Puma anymore because it's building a category in its own. So will Comet beat Puma by 2028? Honestly, at 3,500 crore rupees, almost certainly not by 2028 because the gap is simply too vast. But that's the wrong benchmark. The real question is whether Comet can become India's first genuine premium sneaker house, a profitable 500 crore rupees culture first brand. And that, based on the evidence so far, is genuinely within the reach if it survives its own growth. And that's the story of Comet, how two outsiders with no fashion degree and no celebrity face who walked into India's most brutal consumer battlefield and built 161 crore rupees cult in just 2 years, armed with nothing but a clever price point, desi storytelling and discipline of scarcity. And that's all for today's episode. If you learned something very valuable from this case study, then please make sure to share this episode with your friends and family, and I'll see you in the next one.